Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to the IFLA Division F webinar, The Libraries of the Future. This webinar has two sessions. We have the second session today. I'm happy to tell you that approximately 150 registrants from different parts of the world signed up for the event today. I'm Helen Chen, the IFLA Professional Division Committee Chair of Division F, who coordinate this webinar. Now, let me share screen. Hey, here you go. And tell you the housekeeping rules now. So please provide us your questions in the Q&A features of the Zoom webinar. This webinar will be recorded. We will post the recording and the speaker's PowerPoint files on the event webpage. This webinar will be carried out in English. You can try to enable automated captions in your languages in this webinar, though not all the languages are included. Let's start the presentation from the speakers of the IFLA Acquisition and Collection Development Sessions, Lilly and Dr. David Trefas. Lilly C. is an assistant director of collections and content at Library and Archives Northern Territory in Australia. She represents the Northern Territory State Library in the National E-Deposit Steering Group and National State Libraries Australia, head of Collection Advisory Group. She is also a representative of the Standard Australia Technical Committee on Learning, Education, Training, and Research. She is currently chair of the IFLA Acquisition and Collection Development Session and secretary of the Professional Division of Division F. She is interested in the topics of diversity and inclusion in the global library and information science field. Dr. David Trefas is the head of the Modern Collection at the University Library, Basel, and president of the Commission for the Public Library, GGG, Basel. So Lilly and David, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Helen. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Second. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for participating in the webinar today. My name is Lilly Ho. I'm the chair of Acquisition and Collection Development Session, and I am also an assistant director collection and content at Library, Archive, and Team. I am speaking from the land of Larekia, Darwin, Northern Territory in Australia. The building behind me, this one, this one, is where my office located. It is in the Parliament House in Darwin. David, who is the secretary and head of Modern Collection, University Library Basel, and myself, we represent our session to talk about the future of library in acquisition and collection development. You will hear us mention a lot of the term ACD, acquisition and collection development, in our presentation in the next 10 minutes. Today, our presentation is called Evolving Acquisition and Collection Development 6 Strategic Directions. Sorry. So both acquisition and collection development are in a stage of rapid change due to the shift to electronic publishing and open access. So it is difficult to predict the future of acquisition and open world, and the challenge for library will change depend on the library type and region as well. So therefore, we would like to explore these three questions. Will the move to more open content, and what do we acquire and how? And how do we define the collection in shared environment? And how do library meet the collection needs for their user? ACD has developed 6 directions to help us support library in the evolving world of library collection. And over the next 2 years, we are aligning equity activity to this direction. Now I pass to David to go over the 6 directions.
Thank you very much.
David.
Yeah, hello from my side, from Switzerland as well. Behind me, that's not my office, that's just the screen. Yeah, these are the 6 directions we are going. As you can see, acquisition and collection strategies and practices in different libraries, different kind of libraries as well, not just academic, also public libraries, etc. Then the impact of open access and open science on acquisition and collection development, all in these different kinds of libraries. Then we deal with the opportunities and challenges of acquisition and collection development in consortial environments. You all know maybe that consortia are national and therefore different from each country, but there are more similarities than differences. Then we are also talking about the evolution of collective action and shared collection development, diversity, equity, and inclusion in acquisition and collection development practices, and last but not least, evaluation and collection analysis. Now we go a little bit into detail. Please, the next slide. The acquisition and collection strategies and practices in different libraries, the changes in both what libraries acquire and how they do that, and even whether libraries acquire when it comes to open content. There are loads of changes affecting strategic decisions. We are discussing that, and also the questions, are visions the same or different all over the world and between library types? What can we learn from each other and our differences? It's very important that our section is very diverse in that sense, geographical terms as well, so we can really learn from each other. Next slide, please. Yeah, open access, open science, everybody's talking about that, and we are focusing, of course, on acquisition and collection development, and also on the question, what does that mean? With open access resources? How can we actually build collections with open access resources, which we don't own, but are just around? How can libraries be more proactive in managing these open access resources, so we don't just react but also act actively? And what are the best practices from a global perspective, so to learn from each other?
Okay. For the third direction is about the opportunity and challenge of acquisition and collection development in a consortial environment. So what are the pros and cons of local library work and collaborative work? And actually, what are the best practices on the collaboration? And we don't know yet. For the fourth direction, the evolution of collective action and shared collection development. So what are our questions? What are the ongoing collaborative practice throughout the world, and what are the practice?
We also talk about diversity, of course, and the question how to make collections more diverse. It's a big question, especially in the last years. It came up very, very strongly. And also preserving and highlighting diverse collections. Yeah, and last but not least, the evaluation and collection analysis of what is relevant to evaluating, what tool would be useful for different purposes, what are the best practices. These are very practical things we deal with every day, and here we also want to find some kind of solution and recommendation which is applicable all over the world. Okay. So yeah, you can see us in Rotterdam as well. We will have an open session, and I think it's a good summary of what we just presented of our six strategic goals. We want to learn from not just from the best practices, but also from the pitfalls and the promises. And here, especially focusing on open educational resources. And that's a very special thing, because open educational resources are usually not discussed within this framework of collection development. So if you are interested, please come to our session. It will take part on Tuesday, 22nd of August at 3 p.m.
Another session that ACD is co-hosted with a library theory and research session. So that session is in World Cafe format. The title is called New Frontier in Migration, New Vision from Librarianship. It will take place on Wednesday, 23rd August, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. So the World Cafe session is aimed to bring together diverse perspectives on the topic of library support to migrant, immigrant, refugee, and displaced person. So you are also welcome to join our session as well.
Okay, and if you can't come, or just in addition, you can follow our webpage. Here you can see the link, and also our Twitter account. And of course, we also have a YouTube channel, which is not on it yet, but I think that's an endeavor for you. You're all librarians, so you will find it. Yeah, and that was it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, so thank you for the wonderful sharing from David and Lilly. Here comes our next speaker, Rana Abdulrahman. Rana has a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Virginia Commonwealth University of Qatar, a diploma in academic research and methods, and a Master of Library and Information Study from University College London. She began her career as a user experience designer at Qatar Museums. As part of her placement for her master's study, she worked at the Library of Museum of Islamic Art and worked on collections from the Library of National Museum of Qatar. After finishing her library science master's, Rana worked as a research assistant for the Library and Information Department at University College London. Since 2018, Rana worked as an Information Services Librarian at Qatar National Library and an occasional lecturer at University College London. So Rana, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Helen, for introducing me. My name is Rana Abdulrahman. I am the chair for Art Library section. I'm currently a senior information services librarian. The biography was written last month. Thank God. Happy to introduce myself as a senior information services librarian currently. Give me a moment, please. I'm sharing my PowerPoint with you. Okay, so this is part of the Libraries for the Future series. Today I'll be talking about, first I will introduce my section. I will be introducing what we're having for IFLA in Rotterdam this year, and the section ongoing work on project and our social media accounts for you to actually be able to connect with us. So, as I said, I'm the section chair. We have Elsa Luftus. She's not here with me today, as she is the secretary for the section, and Susan Parker Levy, who's the information coordinator. We have also around 18 active members and 66 organization and individuals members based on our last stats. In IFLA this year, we are so happy to collaborate with the Rijksmuseum to have our satellite meeting. The satellite meeting theme will be big ideas and challenging question. And the goal for this year is to discuss the future art and individual and visual information projects, and to talk about the challenges and opportunities of the art library in relation to digital scholar and or artistic practices. It's going to be from 17 to 19 of August, and we wish for people to have the chance to join us. I'll go to the website and hopefully it opens up. I'll have to change how the screen share is. So this is the website, the page that the Rijks created to for people to register for the satellite meeting. On the side, you can see the practical information, the date, the languages, the program speakers. We're still like in the planning stage, so we have a preliminary program. We received so many proposals, and currently there are around 20, and currently we are in the revision stage, where we actually decide which proposal is going to be accepted. A ticket price, I think the student price is 60, the ticket is 150 euro. But to be honest, it's really worth to come and hear what we have to say, and what library professionals in the art libraries have to say. And the theme, it's very interesting and open for so many people. This is our program, and this is still, as we said, a preliminary, and it speaks about the location. In the last day, we will have the library visits. The first day is going to be from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And the second day is going to be from 9:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. The last day will be library visits based on the selection of the attendees. So to book, it's very easy process. Please, we want to welcome you, want to see you there, and this is one opportunity to collaborate with us. The second thing is what is the most, like the primary thing we usually work every year for IFLA is our open session. So our papers is going to be particularly, but not exclusively, talking and discussing the sub-themes of art libraries and artificial intelligence, which is kind of a very a subject that's worth the focus, and we're hearing a lot about it currently. It is very it's the favorite for so many sections and libraries. Art libraries and digital repositories, art libraries and linked data, semantic web, and virtual reality learning resources for arts and cultural heritage. We already received and selected our papers. We still don't have the exact plan, but it's going to be on 22nd of August. It's going to be a Tuesday in IFLA, and we wish to have you there. Ask your questions and listen to our speakers. On the 21st of August, which is one of our favorite things on Monday is going to be our business meeting. Our time is still to be discussed, and that we still don't know. But this is the day where you come and we can. It's a nice opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you're interested to be part of our section, and see our lovely members. This is a photo from a casual business meeting. When we go to IFLA, we meet several times casually and like formally and casually. It's a family, and we wish for everyone to be part of this family. The section meets usually for at least one business meeting in IFLA, and we have another meeting that's usually happen post IFLA. We will announce soon the time and location. One of the projects that the Art Library section is working on is the Wikipedia. The idea started by Susan Parker Levy, and I've been helping and supporting. This is the Wikipedia for art libraries. It is a very interesting project. We think it's going to be very helpful. So the idea is to collect information about all art libraries internationally, and what kind of art libraries available in the world. In each country, what art libraries are available. We're doing this currently in English, if you can see. This is also part of it, which is history of art libraries. What are the scope and mission of art libraries? It's a way to inform people about the art libraries and focus on what is available. And we are currently also working. There is an idea to actually add some translation to. It's currently in English, and we wish to actually have it in different languages. These are also societies of art libraries around the world. This is the global list of art libraries. It's a hard work, and it takes so much time, but we're happy to do it. We're happy to provide the world with more focus, more information about our section about libraries. Okay.
Rana, excuse me, we're seeing your website still.
You
not
don't
your
see
power.
my. Oh, it's supposed to show my screen. Okay, let me just. The screen share was for. Okay, wait. Let me do it again. Noise. Screen share is I'll choose my desktop so you can see it all. Okay. Now is it?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let me just show you. Okay. So the information is just to show you the dates, nothing more. And I really wanted you to see our nice family, art libraries. It's good that you told me before I go further. And this is the Wikipedia page. So this is the Wikipedia for the art libraries. This is what we have currently. The types of art libraries, informations about history of art libraries, and our mission. These are the currently ready pages and published, and we're still working on to add more, and as I said, also to have more languages. We have ideas to add let's say Arabic language and other languages, depending on the members of the section and who can help, and they were more than happy to actually support in this. Okay, this is our social media channel. We have 3 social media channels. We have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, and we have a Twitter. But for the Facebook, we have a group that's our section group, and we have our page, and we publish everything new, and we're not focusing only about our section and what is happening in the section, but mostly events related to art libraries and all. And we usually introduce our members on monthly basis sometimes, and what are the projects they're working on to highlight our work. We also, as I said, we have the Instagram and the Twitter. We have the Instagram usually is very active. Many people are in love with the Instagram page, maybe because it's easy and information is very short due to kind of time, you know. And we also have our Twitter. You can actually screenshot and take the names of our social media accounts and follow us. You can tag us using at IFLA art or hashtag IFLA art. And we will be, this is our way to actually know information about the art libraries, and we wish to know more and more from you. You can communicate with us if you are interested in becoming a member. I suggest for people who are interested to join us to attend our business meeting. It's going to be on the program of the section, but more you will know more exact information from the program page, and you can come and introduce yourself, and we are welcoming new members all the time. We're happy to have you. And thank you so much.
Wonderful. So thank you very much for Rana's good advocacy of the library sessions, WLIC activities, and the satellite meeting, and also the introduction of the art library Wikipedia. So let me share screen, and then okay, coming up next is Nicole Clasen. So Nicole Clasen is head of the Department User Services at the German National Library of Economics in Germany. The German National Library of Economics, Leibniz Information Center for Economics, is the world's largest research infrastructures for economic literature. One of her current topics is the development and improvement of services through new digital and technical application and possibilities. Ms. Clasen is the secretary of IFLA Standing Committee Document Delivery and Resource Sharing, in addition to the chairwoman of submittal documents from libraries in Germany. So let's give the floor to Nicole.
Hello, everyone. So there.
Yes.
Now you should see the future of resource sharing. I hope so. Okay. So the future of research sharing are still a lot of typical research sharing themes, like we want to be sure that everybody get access to high quality of information. And of course, it should be free of charge, or mainly free of charge as much as possible. We had a lot of problems with all these copyright things and different copyrights in each country. So it's always a high mission to get high quality information free of charge. But we wanted to create internationally accessible systems so that it's easy to use and everyone can use one system and don't need different systems for each countries. And so we wanted to have simple, preferable digital access and regardless of media type. So that you don't have to think, I want to have a book and then I have to use this. And if I want to looking for open educational resources, then I need another channel or something. One project of the last years was the resource sharing during COVID-19. And so we created the RSCVD initiative so that we had the vision that we wanted to share the IFLA vision of strong and united library field powering literature. And of course, we preferred informed and participative societies. So we wanted to be sure that everyone, so now I can see only you and not my screen. That's perfect. So 1 second. Yeah. So yeah, the biggest to do for the RCVD is the equal access to information, and especially for the times of crisis like COVID times. So the libraries was closed, etc. So we managed a high quality and open and free document supply service. So you can see it here. It was a little bit like, you only need a title of the paper or the citation or something, and then you try to find the paper and find a library will send. No problem, I will send the title and the book or the scan to you directly. Of course, we create a structure all around of this initiative so that we now have a RCVD steering committee, and the committee will manage the RCVD services so that it's a really regular system. And the last 2 years, we created all the structure and the different libraries that join the platform. Yeah, we developed a new website with more content, and the development of the Talaria software, a new software for all these free document delivery is at the beta test version, so that we will find a way to use these Talaria software from each country and each library. And we started a lot of trainings with Talaria software, the last document delivery conferences, and will continue this the next times, virtual and in person, of course. On the IFLA Congress in Rotterdam, we will discuss another really important theme. This will be controlled digital lending from varying perspectives, so that we're happy that you will join us also on Monday. But I think we have enough time to join every session of this division. So controlled digital lending will meaning that we have different practices and technologies that allows libraries to loan print books to a digital version, and deliver it directly digital to the patrons. And so it's a little bit complicated to use it with the right copyright and the right publisher license, etc. But it's a big challenge, and we will try to resolve it so that we don't need to send print books through the whole world anymore. So yeah, so of course we try to create a really good copyright and legal version of controlled digital lending. So the library must own a legal copy of the physical book, and it still must have it at the moment. So it don't be enough that you bought it 10 years before, make one digital version, and then you only still have the digital version. So the library must maintain an owned to loaned ratio, and of course you are only allowed to lend, for example, one copy if you have one book in stock or something. And you must be sure that all the users are not allowed to copy the digital file. So it's still only one copy for one lending process, and not one copy for every year, or you use one copy and created open educational resources or something. Of course, that is not the copyright and legal version of controlled digital lending. So yeah, we will discuss all the things and all the different views and problems in each country of the world at the session. And yeah, we will happy if you want to join us, and we can discuss all these things. The document delivery are still not only legal things, but of course there's a big point of the legal and right copyright resources, or the document delivery resource sharing. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much for Nicole's wonderful sharing. and let us have more understanding about the importance of document delivery and resource sharing. And then also we can see the development of the area in the very near future. Thank you very much, Nicole. And here comes our next speaker, Russell. Let me share screen. Okay. Yes. Okay. So here you can see the pictures of Russell Lynch. Russell Lynch is the chair of the Preservation and Conservation session, having also served as a division chair and officer of a professional unit. He has worked at Family Search International in Salt Lake City, Utah, USA for over 35 years in reference, collection development, and digital asset management. Russell has a Master of Library and Information Science from Brigham Young University and an Honors of Bachelor of Arts in French from the University of Utah. He is also an accredited genealogist researcher. So hi, Russell, please take the floor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Let me share my screen to begin and talk about preservation and conservation. I called this presentation Collection Care, now and always, in that I feel like libraries in the future can continue to provide wonderful resources to their users. And as other sections do, our short title for our section name is Pres Cons, and sometimes I'll use that in the presentation. Okay, the first topic I wanted to talk about is access to information, and other sections have also mentioned this, that I believe in the future, access to information is going to increase. The growth makes more reliable information available, and users can verify the accuracy based on the source or sources of the information. And for example, Nicole just mentioned this as well in the DDRS section. So to me, access to information also implies letting the public know that we have the material. We need to explain and find ways that our users will know what we have, because we want to inform others what our artifacts are and how they can access them. This topic has always made me happy how much IFLA promotes this and how strong this is to them, and that they have many resources that they're putting towards making sure the world has access to information. I also believe that in the future, preservation and conservation will share best practices, that because all communities, no matter the size, have cultural traditions and memories that can inform our understanding of the world today. Documentary heritage as records of these cultural traditions and memories help us respect the heritage of others and celebrate our differences. I also believe this is a great opportunity for diversity and respecting the diverse cultures and traditions that exist. I also want to note in my presentation today, I will mention cultural heritage often, but the information that we need to preserve and conserve can also be other disciplines, such as technical topics or scientific topics, and that's okay to spend time preserving those. And if that's the focus of your library and of your work, then think about that in my discussion and topics that I share. So in the future, we will share best practices worldwide. This will include standards and processes that fit the capabilities of the librarians who manage the collection. So recently, our section has prepared practices in a model of good, better, and best, that not all libraries can do the best practice, the very best practices in their conservation, but they can do a few things, and that can go a long way in maintaining their collection. And then as libraries increase their capacity to preserve and conserve, then they can provide better support or the very best. So we recognize there can be minimal steps that all libraries can take. And so that's the structure and the framework as we've released our standards, is to say, maybe you can't do the maximum level, but here are some of the things at the minimum level that you can do. Of course, in the future, preservation will remain a challenge because old materials will get older and may even need more care than they do today. Also, over time, we will identify more cultural content, so the collections in libraries could grow much larger than they are now. This could be a strain on the limited resources for acquiring, accessioning, processing, and conserving materials. So we'll need to be aware of ways to manage the volume. And I think another concept for the future is the digital content, that libraries will have more, I think, more technical options than ever before, that we can provide more resources for libraries. As the ACD section mentioned, a consortium can provide options when the library cannot. If a library cannot host a digital collection, for example, then they may allow another organization to host it, and find that if they enter into a consortium or some type of agreement with another organization, that's the best solution. Also, with all of the work that we do, alliances with other organizations can help us, and some of these are outside of the library community. This can help for the sustainability of cultural heritage collections. So in our section, we coordinate with IFLA headquarters to strengthen our work with other organizations, such as the ICA, which is the International Council on Archives, with UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, with ICOM, the International Council on Museums, ICOMOS, the International Council on Monuments and Sites, and the International Center for the Study of the Preservation and Restoration of Cultural Property, as well as the Blue Shield, and have learned that in our coordination with these groups, many of them will attend IFLA congresses, and each country can find ways to work with them. Really benefits the overall community. For example, with UNESCO, they have a Memory of the World program, and the vision of that program is the world's documentary heritage, but that the world's documentary heritage belongs to all, that it should be fully preserved and protected for all, with due recognition of cultural mores and practicalities, that it should be permanently accessible to all without hindrance. And the the mission of the program is to increase awareness and protection of the world's heritage and achieve its universal and permanent accessibility. They do this by facilitating preservation, by assisting universal access to documentary heritage, and this could be done by encouraging institutions and individuals holding documentary heritage to make it accessible as widely and equitably as possible, whether that's in analog or digital form. And they also, the UNESCO Memory of the World program also increases awareness worldwide of the existence and significance of documentary heritage, and thereby fosters dialogue and mutual understanding between people and cultures. At the World Library and Information Congress in August, we will have a couple of events. We're having a satellite meeting in Amsterdam that is from the 17th to the 18th of August. The theme of that is emergency preparedness and response. It is a joint session with the National Library section. The registration is now open, and you can find that on the WILIC website. Then we're having an open session, which will be a workshop on disaster planning on Thursday, the 24th of August. Thank you for your time. That ends my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation from Russell, and it's a very thought-provoking sharing from Russell. And Russell also remind us and also confirmed the message, the very important, preservation and conservation work of libraries. Our next speaker is Beth. Let me see whether you can see my PowerPoint slide. Oh, yeah, okay, so Beth is doing the sharing right now.
Okay, Helen, can you see everything?
Yeah, let me introduce you first.
Okay.
So Beth Kilmarx is the Assistant University Librarian for Special Collections in the Texas A&M University Library System. Prior to A&M, Beth served as the Assistant Dean of Libraries for Assessment, Development and Technical Services at the Indiana University of Pennsylvania University Libraries. Previously, Beth was the curator of rare books and manuscripts in the Special Collections, University Archives and Preservation Department of the University Libraries at Binghamton University. With more than 30 years of experience in working in academic research libraries, Beth has a strong background in special collections librarianship. Beth is active in professional organizations at the international, like IFLA, national, like rare books and manuscript section, and also local level at the Texas A&M University Librarians, and continue to publish and present papers on rare books and archives. So Beth, please take the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, Helen, and good morning. I am Beth Kilmarx, and I am a member of the Rare Books and Special Collections Committee, and I'm also a member of the Advisory Committee on Standards.
Beth, you can turn on the video.
I'm sorry?
You can turn on the video, your camera.
Oh, my camera is on.
Oh,
Can you?
never mind. I cannot see your face.
I don't know. Let me just double check, Helen, okay?
It's okay. Please continue.
Okay. Okay. There are a number of challenges facing special collections, libraries, and archives, and the list of challenges can be seemingly endless, from backlogs, digitization, reparative cataloging, to security barriers, professional ethics, and the teaching with primary sources, to outreach and advocacy of their collections. Some of these challenges are old, recurring issues, and some are new concerns brought about by COVID, technological advances, current events, and the ongoing need to make materials accessible and discoverable, as just previously discussed by Russell. By facing these challenges, special collections, libraries, and archives are working to transform themselves for the future. And in the next few minutes, I will highlight the work that IFLA's IFLA's Rare Books and Special Collections Committee has accomplished in the recent past, what is in progress, and what is planned in order to meet the needs of cultural heritage collections in the future. Rare books and special collections libraries and archives are located in or associated with a home library or institution. They are staffed with skilled and trained professionals and who are responsible for managing the use and access of these collections. They have secure and monitored facilities with climate-controlled environments to preserve and protect the collections. In an increasingly shared digital world, rare books and special collections are the unique heart of their libraries and indeed the heart of whole communities. Over the past 30 years or so, as libraries have become more indistinguishable from each other, librarians and administrators and even library users have realized that it's the cultural heritage materials in the special collections units that will set each library apart from each other. The Rare Books and Special Collections section anticipates a future where these collections are valued as an essential part of community cultural heritage, symbolically important to the history of places, communities, and intellectual traditions. In the future, because of their acknowledged value, all rare books, special collections, and archival materials will be kept secure with robust strategies to combat theft and trafficking of materials, developed in collaboration with the international book trades and law enforcement authorities. Special collections professionals maintain these documentary heritage materials are relevant to current issues, and their rich resources of information are regularly used for better understanding of cultural events on local and global levels. In order to achieve the full potential, Rare Books and Special Collections librarians are working to ensure that these collections are accessible and usable by everyone, and not merely the elite, but not by merely the elite. Improved description metadata help make collections discoverable by everyone who would need them. And it is equally important for Rare Books and Special Collections libraries to cultivate connections with the communities we serve and collect materials that reflect the full range of the communities within our collecting scope. Special collections professionals are concerned with the full range of rare books and special collections, from the beautifully illuminated early printed books, the type that are often the first thing that come to mind when people think of rare books, to the cheap popular print or pulp fiction books, which represent a genre, and the special collections that might be valuable because they bring together a collection on a subject of local and national historical significance. Anything from early maps of a place to the library of a local trade union. In addition to preserving and making physical originals, the future of our professional field will also be about how we can unlock the data in them, from data mining and digital scholarship techniques, how artificial intelligence can help us transcribe digitized text and create better metadata, and understanding the best platforms where we can create and share content that is accessible to anyone online, as well as being mindful of how we can connect with people who don't have internet access. And a great example that we've used before, Helen and Vincent from our committee provide our committee with an enlightening example of how libraries can provide access to collections to those who have limited, if any, online access to library collections. And the example she used is of the National Library of Scotland, which makes an offline version of its digital gallery available in Scottish prisons. Interestingly, the librarians found that digitized broadsides were the most popular collection viewed by the prisoners. Imagination, innovation, combined with the digital world are important keys to making collections accessible and discoverable in the future of special collections libraries and archives. Additionally, the field of special collections librarianship is also faced with professional challenges. Rare book professionals still need expert knowledge about the collections they curate, but also increasingly they need to be experts in social media, digital skills, outreach. And in response to this need, our committee developed a set of guidelines, competencies of special collections professionals that were recently published. This document outlines the competencies that were developed as a guide for all library professionals who work with special collections materials, both digital and analog. These guidelines provide direction and focus for special collections professionals to facilitate their own career development, as well as to manage their special collections in line with their institutional policies and user needs. It is hoped that these guidelines will help serve as a basis in which training programs can be developed to ensure special collections professionals develop core competencies relevant to the continuing professional development. This document also delineates the ethical framework from which special collections are to perform their professional duties to uphold their positions as trusted stewards of cultural heritage materials. Indeed, keepers of cultural heritage are increasingly being challenged, and rightly so, about the history of their collections, associated with slavery or dubious provenance, or even contested histories, as seen with the uncomfortable documented history of comfort women. There can be differences of opinion about ownership and demands for reparation. People who work with these collections need a strong ethical framework in which to build collections, and where necessary, refuse or return them, as well as develop new kinds of collections that reflect subjects of interest today, climate, for instance, and better represent voices which have been silent or hidden. The Rare Books and Special Collections Committee is helping to build a future with engagement through various community activities. The Rare Books and Special Collections Committee has developed a number of public events to promote and advocate for their institutions. For example, this past spring, the committee sponsored Libraries in a Time of War. It was a day-long planning meeting and then followed with a symposium that was co-hosted with Cyril and held in Uppsala, Sweden, March 15th and 16th. Discussed during the two-day event were the connections between the historic collections as war booty, current attacks on cultural heritage in Ukraine, the role of libraries as sites of contested government power in Ireland and France, and the need to analyze the provenance of collections today to ensure that we don't support trafficking ourselves. This symposium enabled us to connect IFLA members with the real experiences of people dealing with the legacy of current war situations, and with the work of Blue Shield International, helping us to strengthen a key relationship for preserving documentary heritage. And just last month, the committee, and in collaboration with ELAB, the International League of Antiquarian Booksellers, sponsored the webinar, What Happens When a Book is Lost? Cooperation between libraries and the rare book trade and IFLA Missing Books Register. Missing a rare book or experiencing theft can be a disturbing situation for any librarian, as well as for rare booksellers. This webinar discussed ways to inform the rare book trade in order to stop illicit material from circulating, and when possible, to help in the return of missing items. In the webinar, the booksellers presented recent case studies and explained how the rare book trade can act after a report has been made. IFLA has recently launched its Missing Books Register, and it presented the register's functionalities to assist those who find that they may have a missing book, to those who may have suspected that they may have an unknown reported missing book. The Rare Books and Special Collections Committee and IFLA will continue to collaborate to emphasize the importance of missing items to the book trade. Excuse me. And this webinar was one of the first joint collaborations between the two organizations. This summer at IFLA's conference and at the satellite meetings, the Rare Books and Special Collections Committee will sponsor 2 sessions. The first is a satellite meeting co-hosted with Indigenous Matters Committee. This satellite meeting will be held in Leiden on August 17th and 18th. And the title of the session is Empire, Ingenuity, and Colonial Heritage Collections, Confronting Difficult Pasts, Enabling Just Futures. The theme of this satellite meeting is Decolonizing Collections, Elevating Indigenous Voices, Heritage Collections, and Reparative Justice. This meeting will be devoted to the role that individuals working in the area of special collections and heritage can have in confronting the ongoing legacies of colonialism and creating space for Indigenous perspectives. This session will be addressing a number of questions, such as how can librarians, archivists, and curators contribute and act to engender a deep and critical understanding of the ongoing impacts of empire and colonialism and actively engage in the actions of repair and reconciliation? What role do heritage collections play in reshaping global Indigenous futures? How can the sector be responsive to Indigenous ways of knowing, to respectfully incorporate a decolonial and Indigenous approach to our work? How can we incorporate approaches that build on the work that is being done in communities and by minoritized librarians, particularly Indigenous librarians, in integrating Indigenous knowledge and languages? What new ways of working can be developed to engender collaboration, learning, and engagement with more diverse audiences? And finally, what is the future relationship between librarians and curators who work with documentary heritage and those whose heritage they curate? And in this session, the other issues that will be addressed will include how to approaches to decolonizing special and heritage collections, relationships of Indigenous memory traditions within the library sector, digital or physical retribution of collections, and emerging best practices for working with displaced heritage collections. Additionally, they'll be addressing collaboration between communities and special collections, visions and goals for the future, descriptive practices and vocabularies used in describing rare books and special collections. The second session that the Rare Books and Special Collections Committee will be holding will be held during the conference in Rotterdam, and it is entitled 21st Century Description for Heritage Collections, Changing Perspectives, Changing Language, Changing Cultures. This session is focused on catalogers and curators of heritage collections who must deal with catalogs of their collections that include language now considered unacceptable or inadequate, partial perspectives, or significant gaps in their information. Not only collections themselves, but also descriptions created by the institutions that preserve them can show bias and deficiency in questions of genre, culture, or history, and eventually offensive terminology. The Rare Books and Special Collections Committee open session will focus on these catalogs and descriptions and how catalogers and curators are addressing these challenges of problematic language, controversial heritage, and a broader, more inclusive change in approach to terminology. The Rare Books and Special Collections Committee is also attempting to help build a future with ongoing projects. And we have been engaged in a number of ongoing projects that address our vision for the future. And they include a value of special collections survey. Members have been asking through the survey, is it a monetary value? It is a value based on cultural heritage significance, or is it research value that makes the special collections special? The Rare Books and Special Collections Committee is still collecting data and expects to provide a report on how value is assessed by various institutions within the next year. The metadata working group started working systematically on cataloging metadata issues in 2017 when the ISBD review group requested a liaison with our section for a review of the standard that was about to start. And that would, for the first time in history, include unpublished resources such as our beloved manuscripts. And now, years after hard work, the metadata working group has finished its tasks and has updated a version of the ISBD that does include manuscripts, and it is about to be published. And as the World Library started working on their policies to adapt the description of the rare books in RDA, this development motivated the Metadata Working Group to conduct a worldwide survey on rare materials cataloging the RDA. And the title of the survey is Survey on Rare Materials Cataloging with RDA. This survey was conducted in order to address a number of questions and issues with the adoption of RDA as a cataloging standard. Questions such as what happens to a library's rare materials? Is RDA fit for the description of rare books? Their manuscripts are graphic and cartographic materials, their music. Will it be able to overtake extremely detailed rules such as DCRM or ISBD? Probably not by itself, though aware of the complexity of the situation, the Rare Materials Working Group is managing some of these points and is attempting on its next this working group presented the results of the survey or the data, and they are now beginning another project, and that is looking at documenting core elements for the description of rare materials. And as discussed earlier, the committee published the competency guidelines for rare books and special collections professionals. The set of guidelines was published in 2020, and the first such document providing guidelines for the skill set, knowledge, and training required for special collections professionals. And we have begun the discussion on its revision that is due in 2025. And then finally, the RSB, the Rare Books and Special Collections Committee will continue to partner and collaborate with national and international organizations, such as a consortium of European research libraries, the International League of Antiquarian Booksellers, and including ICA and EGAT, and participate on committees such as IFLA's Advisory Committee on Cultural Heritage and IFLA Ukraine Task Force. The Rare Books and Special Collections Committee is a highly active and engaged committee, and its members are dedicated to meeting the needs and challenges of special collections and archives in the present, but we are constantly planning for the future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for Beth's very interesting sharing on different perspectives of rare books and special collection, especially the challenges they have now and in the very near future. So here comes now our next speaker. Our next speaker is Julianne Winkelstein. Let's share my PowerPoint slides. Oops.
Oh.
Okay, so Julianne Winkelstein, MLIS and PhD, is a librarian, writer, activist, and teacher. She is the author of Library and Homelessness, an Action Guide, American Bibliographical Center, Biblio, as well as several book chapters and journal articles, and was a contributing author and primary editor of the IFLA Guidelines for Library Services for People Experiencing Homelessness. Winkelstein created and teaches a library school master's level course on homelessness, poverty, and public libraries at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and a similar course at the University of Washington. She has presented internationally on the topic of libraries and homelessness, including LGBTQ+, youth homelessness, and through an Institute of Museum and Library Services grant, provide trainings and workshops for library staff on this topic. She worked for 20 years as a public librarian in a range of roles, from jailed and prison librarian to family literacy coordinator to young adult and children's librarian. Her work focuses on the intersections of social justice and public libraries. Yes, as is Saturday at 2:30 a.m. for Julie now. Rather than waking her up for this webinar, let's listen to her recording. Sharing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Ann Winkelstein. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm here to talk about the IFLA LGBTQ users special interest group, or SIG, which I am honored and proud to be a member of. I'm speaking to you from the unceded territory of the Ohlone people in California in the United States. This land was stolen hundreds of years ago, and the effects of that theft, that seizure, continue to affect all of us. As I look back over the 10 years I've been involved in the LGBTQ SIG, I'm struck by the amazing diversity of subjects, the passionate commitment by all the members, the strong sense of community, and the devotion to being all inclusive. I am reminded of the thought that I have frequently in my social justice work, which is that even though sometimes the work is hard, look at the people that you get to hang out with. Look at the people that keep you company in this hard work. And I really feel lucky to have the company that I keep. This is the basics about our SIG. We are under the Acquisition and Collection Development section. We are part of the Professional Division F, as you know. Our overall goal is to address the information needs of the LGBTQ plus community members, needs that are related to library services or programs or collections. And you might wonder what information needs are when it comes to the LGBTQ plus community. And just as with any of the community members that we serve, the needs are varied, and there are a lot of different needs, because besides practical information such as books and other kinds of collections, as well as services and programs, we actually also are encouraging libraries to provide a space that supports the LGBTQ plus community wholeheartedly, without politics and without judgment. Here in the United States, as you're probably aware, we are seeing more and more book challenges, questions about library programs such as drag queen story times, and even librarians and teachers being fired for continuing to provide supportive materials and a welcome environment for this community. I've included on this slide a link to our blog, which I highly recommend taking a look at. It is updated regularly and has some wonderful information on it. And our current convener is Thomas Chambeau Petitjean. I wanted to add to my previous comments, like, why do we even exist? And here are some of the reasons. Thomas and I had a conversation a few days ago about like, if I was going to lay it out, like, what would I say? Why do we exist? And so these are some of the things we came up with, that we are here to build bridges so that we can keep connections between people in the community who have a range of life experiences. We aim to provide education and information and raise awareness about LGBTQ plus lives. We offer insights into how to support both the LGBTQ plus community and the library staff. And we look closely at intersectionality. One of my passions is actually maintaining a constant awareness of intersectionality. I've provided the most recent definition here on the screen on the slide from Kimberly Crenshaw, who coined this term many years ago in 1989. So this is sort of her updated version. And what I really appreciate about this is that she is talking about power. And sorry, I got lost in my notes here. It talks about power and how it can collide. To truly support the LGBTQ plus community, we must stay aware of how none of us are simply one facet of ourselves. There is no one thing about ourselves. We are many, many different aspects of ourselves that make us who we are. But when we look at intersectionality, we see the impact of that overlap that we all have, as it can block access to power and actively oppress this community. It is critical that we delve deeply into these intersections so that we truly look at our LGBTQ community members, look directly at them and their lives and see them. In this way, we can provide support for both the community and the staff and the community members. This is just a little bit about the history. We were officially approved in 2013, and I was there when it was approved, and I've been a member ever since. When I look back over many notes from all of our meetings over the last 10 years and the conferences and people's contributions to what the work that they're doing in their countries and their libraries, in their communities, I put together this list that just gives you an idea of the kinds of topics, the range of topics that we've talked about or presented on or discussed or people have written papers about, or all of the different things. And so you can see there's quite a list. Books to prisons, equitable access, collection policies, best practices. Since my PhD and my dissertation was on homeless LGBTQ youth, I am particularly interested in poverty and homelessness and what libraries can do to address those topics, which of course are intersectional topics. Again, disabilities, aging, using appropriate language, just all working with other sections, a real range of topics. And this is an infographic that was created in 2018 by our previous convener, Anne Redcliffe, and I put the URL there in case you'd like to use it, download it and use it. Just a little bit about us. We have 9 official members, which anyway, we have 9 official members, but of course, everyone is welcome to be involved. We enthusiastically welcome you to attend our meetings, be part of our programs, and be exactly as involved as you'd like to be. These are examples of past papers that were presented at WLIC over the years. As you can see, again, there's a real variety of topics that fall under our SIG. Public libraries and private space. The first one is homeless queer youth, which was my topic also. Art, library drag story times, citizen participation, the Rainbow Library, and reducing the suicide risk of LGBTQ plus library users. The last one, this reducing the suicide risk, is really concerning. For example, just as one small statistic in the United States, the National Institute of Mental Health found in a study that they did in 2021 that, quote, after taking demographic factors into account, the researchers found that the suicide risk was 3 to 6 times greater for lesbian, gay, and bisexual adults than for heterosexual adults across every age group and race or ethnicity or category. This is why this topic, as all of the topics I think that we address, are so important. And then we have 2 upcoming events like everybody else. We'll add about what we're doing related to 2023 WLIC. The first is this satellite meeting, which is co-sponsored by the IFLA Management and Marketing. The topic is The Library is Open, creating safe working environments for LGBTQ plus library employees and marketing supportive LGBTQ plus services. The keynote speaker for this is, you can see here on this slide, is Leslie Weir, who is the IFLA president-elect. And then for the WLIC 2023, our presentation is From Personal Narratives to Collective Memory, Archiving LGBTQ plus lives and communities. And I love the way that so many of the things that have already been talked about, mine sort of fits in with so many of the different aspects of what people have talked about already. And this is just a summary of the description of our program. LGBTQ plus archives are essential for preserving the history and memory of this community. They're often fragmented and inaccessible. And as Meg pointed out, there are missing voices and gaps, and it's so true. So it makes it difficult to understand the history of this community. Therefore, this conference aims to address these issues and explore ways to make these archives more accessible and more inclusive, which I know other people have already mentioned those two key points, key ideas. And that's all. Thank you. And this is my email address if anybody has any questions. And I hope that you will join us and become part of this SIG. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Julie. And after listening to the recording of Julie, see. Yes, we have the last speaker of the webinar today, Anna Cascon. Anna Cascon has a degree in modern literature at the University Federico II of Naples. Postgraduate specialization in archival library science and methodology of historical research at the same university. The presentation title of Anna today is Designing the Future Together, Lasallian Library Outreach that starts with children. I now pass the floor to Anna. Anna, the floor is yours.
Okay, let me share the, okay, next step, let's see, audio. Just a moment. Can you see my?
Yes, we can see your presentation file.
Good morning. I'm Anna Cascone, head of the Lasallian Library in Rome. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this webinar series, Library of the Future. The title of my presentation is Designing the Future Together, a Lasallian Library outreach that starts with children. My presentation will outline the various projects that we are promoting between the Central Library and our communities around the world and our schools. I will use this minute to introduce you our Institute of Brothers of Christian Schools and the Lasallian Research and Resource Center. I will mention the importance of the networking between libraries and associations. And at the end, I will give you some examples. Saint Jean-Baptiste de La Salle, the patron of Christian teachers in Europe, was the founder of the Institute of the Brothers of the Christian Schools. Born into an aristocratic family in 17th century France, he dedicated his life to the education of poor children. Through this, his writing, an innovative methodology, De La Salle made significant contribution to the entire field of education. Today, the large De La Salle family consists of more than 3,000 brothers who, together with 90,000 educators and lay collaborators, works in more than 1,100 educational institutions in 80 countries, serving more than 1 million students, including children, adolescents, and adults. The Generalate of the Brothers of Christian School is the residence of the Superior General and his council in Rome since 1936. Here took place the Lasallian Library, the Central Archive, and the museum. The La Salle Research and Resource Service works into the production of the Lasallian thought in dialogue with the living tradition of the Institute and the context of the 21st century. The mission of Lasallian family is to devote a privileged space to develop personal autonomy. Through children, intercultural meeting points are sought among the various Lasallian communities around the world. Respect for the original culture and religions is the foundation of Lasallian pedagogy. Collaboration with a number of professional association has been crucial to develop library projects in line with contemporary needs. In particularly with Association of School Librarianship, the Italian Pedagogical Association, and the Italian Association of Public History. With this association, we develop library projects aimed at children. The opportunity to attend the IFLA conference in Dublin and meet with the school library professionals was also very important in designing new library services. Thanks to a project dedicated to young readers in collaboration with the Italian Pedagogical Association, we have created a reading space for children and one specialized in the international pedagogy for teachers. Students are accompanied to the library by their teachers every afternoon after school. Here they enjoy a comfortable environment for doing their homework and reading. Students are also involved in visiting the antique collection of Jansenist books. I'm pleased to show you two different photos. They show two different approaches. One student of a university student from Lewis University of Ronville, United States, for example, her excitement at being able to hold in her hand a document that witnessed a French Revolution. She wanted to leave me her impression in writing. The Lasallian Library visit surprised me very much because I had no idea that the Lasallian network I was part of had such valuable books within its reach. My first takeaway from the library visit was that it was very extensive in terms of the different books in hand. During our visit, we were able to see workbooks that were used to teach children who were studying at Lasallian school, along with works published by Christian Brothers. My second takeaway from this experience was on Jansenism. In the library, we were able to see a pamphlet of Jansenism that was written in the year 1792. While instead, in these photos, we can see involvement of the third grade pupils visit the same book collection. Notice their enthusiasm, even though they do not yet know what they are touching. Helping library is also an important activity. In these photos, we can see the inauguration of a school library at the St. Joseph Institute in Turin, whose books were donated by the Lasallian Library. We received a government budget to buy books, and we used some of it to help open a new school library at the that had asked us for an help. Here is the sales library at the La Sala Assistenziale Educacional Center in Beira, Il Centro Educacional Assistenziale La Salle is an educational support center for over 600 public school students who are provided with extra academic assistance. In the library, we also involved young readers in the activity of a public history project entitled Lasallian Photographic Archives, a part of historical discovery between colonialism and community memory. We took advantage of this exhibition to tell children the story of the build of the photography in the 19th century. In these photos, our darkroom technician is explaining how geometric optics works. They really enjoyed the photographic history workshop and they will repeat it next year too. In these photos, they are helping university students set up the photo exhibit project for the Italian Public History Conference, how is taking place this week at the Florence University. In fact, I'm speaking from Florence University today. As you can see, the Lasallian Library is a living library where one can study, read, and meet people. Following in the wake of all these activities with the children, we have applied it to host the next annual IAS International Association of School Librarianship Conference in Rome next July 2023. And it will take place at the Generalate of the Brothers of the Christian Schools. That's all. I hope very much that you have enjoyed my presentation. Here you can find my contacts. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much for Anna's wonderful presentation. And then let me change the setting first. Okay. Yes. Okay. So let's see. Wow. Here we come to the end of today's webinar. On behalf of the IFLA's Professional Division F, I would like to thank all the speakers again for their time and efforts, and also all the audience for your participation. I'm looking forward to see you all at IFLA's World Library and Information Congress 2023 in Rotterdam in August. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.